your hometown can become a comfort zone. And I know that for me, comfort zones are the enemy, because I start to get into my slipstream, I plateau, I stop growing, and then I don't feel like I produce anything that I'm really proud of. I grew up in a country town called Geraldton, which is 5 hours drive north of Perth in Western Australia, which is the most isolated capital city in the world. Moving to the UK was representative of me pushing myself out of the boat. I felt like I needed a change, but I also felt like there would be some inspiration for me over here that would change me as a singer. And it was interesting, even after I'd moved here, my first trip back, doing a little gig at a jazz club in Perth, you know, just a little kind of coming home thing, people could hear how different I was, and I could kind of really mark or map the fact that I had changed so much from those UK influences. And it was huge for me, if I'm honest, and I think some of the enormity of it I just pretended to block out of my mind, because actually it would have been quite overwhelming. But you know, something I haven't told a lot of people is, you know, when I sat at the airport, my mum came and dropped me off, and she's amazing. She's a real kind of renegade herself. You know, she'd left and moved to the UK when she was 17, you know, much younger than I was at that point. Anyway, I said to Mum, I'm really scared. Like, I just kind of dropped the facade and just went, I'm really scared, I'm really worried about this. But the more I started to reach out, the more bold I became, and the more I wanted to push myself to greater heights, and was really kind of proud of myself when I started getting some of the jobs that I came over to get. You know, doing some really great high-profile backing vocal work, you know, doing some great showcases with my original music, and you know, working with really some of the biggest names in the world. That just started to open up a completely new world of opportunities for me, and something I never would have dreamed of as a little kid from Geraldton. Is there any advantages to being Australian? I think one of the things that Australians hold dear to themselves is a good hard-working spirit, and also we're quite aware that we're underdogs. I think we're down under at the bottom of the world, you know, very far away from the States and from the UK. You know, 23 hours I think it takes me to fly back to Perth. We're very far away, and I think because of that, we feel we need to work a lot harder, and I think this happens with many industries in the UK that have Australians come and work for them. You know, they're really impressed by the Australian work ethic, and I like to think that I brought that to my UK experience. I felt like I worked really hard for what I did, and all of my contemporaries that I was studying with as well, they were obsessively driven to get really good. I had friends that would forget to eat meals because they were practicing too much that day. They would spend their last, money on an album of a great jazz player before they would spend it on, paying their rent. There was this obsession about getting good and getting better. And when I got jobs, I think I just poured myself into the preparation because I knew that that was a gift, that was something that I might not ever get again, and actually this was a really, really unique opportunity to impress. So I would work and work and work and work and work so hard. And we're often talking about don't practice hard enough so you get it right, practice enough so you can't get it wrong. And that was kind of my I guess, hope with my work ethic. And I think there's been a really nice response. I'm a strange kind of mix of cultures anyway. I'm a mixed race, half Bajan, half Eastern European guy that grew up in Australia. And I think there was intrigue around me anyway, just because I kind of seemed to have this hodgepodge of all these different cultural references. And it kind of worked. And yeah, I think there's perhaps a lot of reasons that that has worked, having come from Australia, that I don't even realise as well. The UK is a unique place, I think, for music, and actually it's really nice to see such a personality here in comparison to the various different parts of the States as well, which of course have such a big influence on contemporary music. But there is real flavour, there's a huge soul industry, the pop is a little bit more kind of explorative and adventurous and, you know, quite edgy, not to take anything from the States again, but, you know, it's got a personality here, and I think it is an exciting place to be. And actually I found that when I got here, part of my job was just to learn it and to experience all these different facets of it. Coming from Perth, which actually did have quite a good music industry, but because the scene was so small, you kind of knew everyone kind of had a little dabble in all the different parts of the music industry. But actually here, it is a bit of a siloistic kind of thing. You have these silos of different genres and different scenes, and even within the genres you got kind of North and South London versions, and then you got the Manchester crew, and you got the, you know, what's going up, you know, going on in Liverpool, which is kind of a whole new thing, and there's so many different parts of it. So learning about it and finding your place in all those different silos and sectors is a big part of it. And I think you do find your place. For me, I had to give up the fact that I was all things to all men in Australia. You know, I was singing in a jazz big band, you know, one night, and then I'd be singing in a funk band, and I'd be singing in a pop thing, and I'd be singing in a trio, jazz trio. Like, you know, there'd be all sorts of different permutations that you were in. And actually over here, you kind of need to commit to something, and to be known as that. And so actually for me over here, I'm much more of a pop soul singer than really a jazz singer, and that has had to be quite intentional. I had to commit to one pathway or the other. If you let yourself feel intimidated by an industry or by a city, by a new place you're going to, then it's very easy to kind of manifest that in the way you project yourself, and so you act scared, and you feel quite intimidated whenever you meet someone, or perhaps you just stop feeling like you want to go out and meet people because you feel so strapped and you feel like you don't deserve to be a part of it. I think the first step really is giving yourself permission to be a part of the industry. You're the only one, I think, that can really bestow that initially, you know, and then as you kind of affirm, you're able to really put yourself in a confident way to the various different opportunities that come your way. I had lots of different experiences coming to London, and kind of trying to get myself opportunities to do showcases, and to get up at jam nights even, which was the most scary thing I'd ever experienced in my life, putting my name down and getting up and singing and having a bit of a clap meter, you know, telling you if you're any good or not. But anyway, it was good for me. After about 12 months of really solid hard work, I found that things started to get just a little bit easier. I started to get a few more gigs. I started to get a few more people ring my phone. People actually had my phone number, and things started to move along. And I think actually there was a great guy that I met. His name was Derek McKenzie, actually, who played drums for Jamiroquai, and I happened to meet him at one of these things, and he just took a liking to me, liked my music, liked my album, and gave me an opportunity to do a bit of a showcase in a kind of random Soho club, and it was amazing. I kind of packed it out and just had this real sense that actually things were turning for me. It was kind of right in the early days of London, but actually it was a great opportunity just to play my music, and, you know, with some amazing musicians, and have great people there watching me, and, you know, it started to change, it started to turn, and I can really see that as a real marker in that experience.